Welcome to the seventh episode of Decoding the Profiles in Power, powered by West Ferry Times. Today, we're diving into the life and career of Keir Starmer, the leader of the UK Labour Party. This is a man whose rise to the top of one of the country's most important political positions has been anything but straightforward.
Yes, Keir Starmer is a fascinating figure. With a background in law and a reputation as a tough negotiator, he brings a unique perspective to British politics. Today, we'll explore how his career as a barrister paved the way for his role as the leader of the opposition. His story is one of ambition, pragmatism, and, of course, controversy.
Exactly. Keir Starmer's journey from being a human rights lawyer to leading the Labour Party is a testament to his adaptability and determination. But it hasn't been an easy path, and he's faced plenty of hurdles along the way. Ready to get started, Alex?
Definitely. Let's uncover the layers of Keir Starmer's life and leadership.
Keir Starmer was born in 1962 in Southwark, London, to a working-class family. His father, a toolmaker, and his mother, a nurse, were both deeply committed to social justice. Keir's upbringing in a labor-supporting household gave him a strong sense of the values that would later shape his political career.
Indeed, his early life was marked by a strong work ethic and an awareness of the struggles faced by ordinary people. Keir attended Reigate Grammar School and later went on to study law at St. Edmund Hall, Oxford. His academic success was evident early on, and it was clear that he was destined for something big.
His decision to pursue law was influenced by his desire to fight for justice. During his time at Oxford, Keir became involved in student politics, aligning himself with progressive causes. It was here that his interest in social issues deepened, laying the foundation for his future political career.
After completing his degree, Keir Starmer went on to become a barrister. He quickly gained a reputation for being meticulous, sharp, and deeply committed to human rights. His career as a lawyer included high-profile cases that focused on civil liberties, further solidifying his image as someone who would fight for the rights of the underprivileged.
One of his most notable cases was his role in the legal team that helped secure justice for the victims of the 1989 Hillsborough disaster. His work on this case, where 96 Liverpool fans tragically lost their lives, showed his unwavering commitment to seeking truth and justice, even in the face of overwhelming adversity.
Keir Starmer's early life and career were shaped by a sense of duty to ensure fairness in society. His legal career was the foundation of his political philosophy, one that values equality and the protection of individual rights.
In 2015, Keir Starmer's political career took a significant turn when he was elected as the Member of Parliament for Holborn and St. Pancras. His transition from the legal world to politics wasn't an obvious one, but his reputation as a sharp legal mind made him an ideal candidate for political leadership.
Keir's rise in the Labour Party was rapid. Within just a year of being elected, he was appointed Shadow Secretary of State for exiting the European Union. This was a key role during the Brexit negotiations, and Keir's legal expertise was crucial as he worked to shape Labour's position on the issue.
Yes. Brexit was a defining issue of the time, and Keir's ability to articulate Labour's stance with clarity and precision earned him respect across the political spectrum. Despite his personal opposition to Brexit, Keir's role in managing the party's approach to the referendum was critical to his growing stature within the Labour Party.
That's right. His ability to navigate the complexities of Brexit while maintaining the Labour Party's unity was no small feat. He showed a level of pragmatism that impressed many, even those who weren't naturally aligned with his political views. Keir proved that he was a leader capable of making tough decisions in difficult circumstances.
Keir's time as Shadow Brexit Secretary set the stage for his leadership bid in 2020. His ability to handle the pressures of such a critical issue helped raise his profile and positioned him as a potential successor to Jeremy Corbyn. His legal background and steady hand were qualities that many Labour members saw as necessary for the party's future.
When Jeremy Corbyn resigned after Labour's defeat in the 2019 general election, Keir Starmer's moment arrived. He swiftly declared his candidacy for the leadership, positioning himself as the candidate who could unite the party and move it away from the divisions of the Corbyn era.
Keir Starmer's rise to the leadership of the Labour Party was a turning point. After a bruising leadership contest, he emerged victorious in April 2020. He promised to rebuild the party, focus on moderation, and take a more centrist approach to policy than his predecessor, Jeremy Corbyn.
Yes, this marked a major shift in the party. Keir's leadership was welcomed by many who felt that Labour had veered too far left under Corbyn's leadership. His promise to rebuild trust within the party and present a strong opposition to Boris Johnson's government was met with hope from those looking for stability.
One of Keir's first moves as leader was to address the issue of anti-Semitism within the Labour Party, which had been a significant problem under Corbyn. He took decisive action to expel members with extremist views and to rebuild the party's reputation on the issue of racism and discrimination.
That's right. Keir's stance on anti-Semitism was crucial in restoring Labour's credibility with Jewish communities. His approach was more direct and zero tolerance compared to his predecessor, and it was seen as a necessary step in repairing Labour's fractured reputation.
But Keir's leadership has not been without its challenges. While he's attempted to move the party back to the center, he's faced opposition from some of the more left-wing factions of Labour. His moderate approach has drawn criticism from those who believe he is abandoning Labour's traditional socialist roots.
Yes, and there's also the issue of Labour's performance in the polls. Despite his leadership, Labour has struggled to make significant inroads against the Conservative government. Many critics argue that Keir has not been forceful enough in challenging Boris Johnson's administration, particularly over issues like EMIC and the economic fallout.
Keir Starmer's leadership has faced some tough moments. One of the most significant challenges has been Labour's response to the COVID-19 crisis. In the early days of the pandemic, Keir initially offered support for the government's measures, but as the situation developed, his calls for stronger action became more vocal.
That's right. Initially, Keir Starmer took a more collaborative approach, agreeing with the government's response. However, as the pandemic progressed, he began to push harder for additional support for businesses and workers who were struggling. He also questioned the government's handling of the crisis, particularly in areas like testing and contact tracing.
Keir's stance on the pandemic demonstrated his pragmatic approach. He understood that supporting the government in the early stages was necessary to show unity, but he wasn't afraid to hold them to account when it was clear that their response was lacking.
But of course, there were critics on both sides. Some argued that Keir wasn't aggressive enough in opposing the government, while others believed that his calls for more stringent measures were overreaching. It was a fine line to walk, and Keir's decisions during this period were critical in defining his leadership.
And then there's the ongoing issue of Labour's relationship with its base. While Keir's moderate stance has appealed to many centrist voters, some traditional Labour supporters have felt alienated. There's a sense that Keir has failed to reconnect with the working-class voters who deserted Labour in the 2019 election.
Yes, Keir's efforts to rebuild Labour's credibility have been hampered by the need to balance the demands of different factions within the party. While he's taken steps to appeal to moderates, it remains to be seen if he can win back the voters who felt disillusioned with the party in recent years.
Keir Starmer's leadership has not been free from controversy. As we've seen with other leaders, decisions made in the heat of the moment can result in significant public backlash. One of the most notable controversies in Keir's leadership has been his handling of the party's approach to Brexit.
Yes, Keir's position on Brexit has been a point of contention. During the 2019 general election campaign, Labour promised to hold a second referendum on the issue, but the decision was seen by many as too ambiguous. Keir, who had been a vocal Remainer, found himself in a tricky situation trying to balance Labour's stance on Brexit while also appealing to Leave voters.
Exactly. While he initially backed a second referendum, his more cautious approach on Brexit has led to criticisms from both sides of the debate. Some Remainers felt he didn't go far enough in opposing Brexit, while some Leave supporters accused him of trying to undermine the democratic decision made in 2016.
Another area of controversy has been Keir's handling of internal party disputes. The infighting within the Labour Party, particularly between the moderates and the left-wing factions, has caused significant tension. Keir's attempts to maintain unity have not always been successful, and some members feel he's been too conciliatory, while others believe he hasn't been tough enough on the left-wing rebels.
And let's not forget the ongoing issue of Labour's failure to regain the trust of the electorate. Despite Keir Starmer's leadership, Labour has struggled to close the gap with the Conservative Party in the polls. This has led to criticism that Keir hasn't done enough to challenge Boris Johnson or offer a compelling alternative to the current government.
So, what's next for Keir Starmer? With a general election looming, his leadership is more critical than ever. Will he manage to bring Labour back into power? Or will his moderation prove to be his downfall?
It's a fascinating question. Keir's ability to balance the needs of the party's factions, present a clear vision for the future, and connect with voters will determine his future success. The next few years will be critical in shaping his legacy as Labour leader.
As we wrap up this episode on Keir Starmer, it's clear that his journey to the top of British politics has been one of complexity and ambition. From his beginnings as a human rights lawyer to his leadership of the Labour Party, Keir has shown that he's a pragmatic leader, always weighing the situation carefully before making decisions.
Indeed. His time as leader of the opposition has been marked by both successes and challenges. His moderate approach has helped rebuild the Labour Party after the tumult of the Corbyn years, but it's also drawn criticism from both ends of the political spectrum. He's been tasked with uniting a divided party and finding a way to win back the trust of voters who've drifted away from Labour in recent years.
It's true, Keir Starmer's leadership style has often been seen as cautious, but that doesn't mean he hasn't made bold moves when necessary. Whether it was taking a strong stance on anti-Semitism within Labour or pushing the government to do more in response to the COVID-19 crisis, Keir has shown that he's willing to take a stand, even if it's unpopular.
At the same time, though, some argue that his leadership has lacked the kind of fire and passion that can inspire a political movement. His careful approach to Brexit, for example, has left many wondering if he's capable of offering a clear and decisive alternative to the Conservatives.
That's a key point. The next general election will be a critical test for Keir Starmer's leadership. Can he turn his party's fortunes around and challenge the dominance of the Conservative Party, or will he struggle to unite the electorate behind his vision for the future?
Keir Starmer's future in British politics will depend on his ability to navigate these challenges. He's already proven himself to be a capable and steady leader, but now it's time to see if he can take the next step and lead Labour back into power. His success or failure will have a lasting impact on the direction of British politics for years to come.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to join us next time as we dive deeper into the stories that shaped our world. Until then, stay curious and take care.
Absolutely. And don't forget to stay tuned with West Ferry Times. If you enjoyed this episode, hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel and share it with your friends and family. Let's keep the conversation going.